Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Rick Reads Comics. We're going to switch gears a little bit today and we're going to go over House of X and Powers of X. I got this trade that's collecting all issues 1 through 6 of House of X and Powers of X. So I'm excited to read it. Just the other day, I think they ended the series, like it finished, it completed, and I never read it. Like I think I started maybe the first issue one time and I never actually went through and finished it because I wanted to wait. I'm kind of like a completionist where I want to finish a complete run of whatever I'm on before I start something else. So that drives me crazy a little bit. But anyway, it kept me from reading this, and now I'm finally going to get to it. So we're just going to do one issue today, kind of like we did with Silver Surfer, where we go through the trade, but it was issue by issue. My nose is running a little bit today, so sorry about that. My allergies are crazy. But anyway, yeah, I'm excited to read this. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. We'll start out with House of X number one. But let's go through the credits. This all came out in like 2019, and this was released in 2020. This collection of it. But anyway, for credits, this is all written by Jonathan Hickman, and he wrote both the House of X and Powers of X. Kind of, I guess he's like the mastermind of the storyline. But in House of X, the artist is Pepe Larraz. Color artist is Marta Gracia with David Curiel, but I think he might only be for issue number 6. And then the cover art is Pepe Larraz and Marta Gracia. I'll save the credits for the Powers of X for when we do those. But the letter is VC's Clayton Cowles, design Tom Muller, assistant editor Annalise Bisa, and editors Jordan D. White. And you can see all the other ones right here. Pause it, you can check it out. And of course, X Men is created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. All right, we almost jumped ahead. Okay, and there are like some extra things in here. I don't know if they were in the original issues, but they're like special features, I guess, where they explain things a little more. I need to get the single issues and I can kind of see if they're on those too or not. But anyway, House of X number one. This is the intro part. It says, "Humans of the planet Earth. While you slept, the world changed." That's by Professor X. So we see here, looks like we got some pods in a weird looking tree. Somebody's standing there, and then some hands start to come out, and bodies start to crawl out. And I'm assuming this is Professor X, and I don't know if this is like a weird dream sequence or if this is for real. But he touches the face, and it looks like the eyes spark. So maybe that's Cyclops. And he says, "To me, my X-Men." Kind of creepy a little bit. There's the cover of issue number one. You might have saw that on the thumbnail. But issue number one, chapter one, it says House of X, the house that Xavier built. 5 months ago, Krakoa. And that's Colossus's hand. 4 months ago, Westchester. That's Storm. 3 months ago, the blue area of the moon. That looks like Nightcrawler because of his hands. 2 months ago, Mars. I'm not sure what her name is. I think it's like Shield, maybe. 1 month ago, the Savage Land, and that looks like Beast. 3 weeks ago, Washington, D.C. That might be Kitty Pryde because of Lockheed. 2 weeks ago, this could be maybe the Cuckoo Sisters. I'm not too sure. And the Jerusalem Habitat. So they're planting all these flowers, I guess. And the Jerusalem Habitat maybe has like a big tree. And it says now, so it's full grown. "Ambassador, you look tired. How was your flight?" "Same as yours, I'd guess. Unexpected. Charles Xavier decides to deliver a telepathic message to the world, an offer we can't refuse. And here we are, at a habitat I didn't know existed, recognizing the sovereignty of a nation state I'd never heard of until 4 days ago. How's the saying go? May you live in interesting times." "Personally, I'd settle for a bit of predictability and a good night's sleep. Unfortunately, these things I cannot see happening." "You're apprehensive." "I am. It's a designer drug thing, no? It is a problem." A drug that extends human life 5 years, another that prevents diseases of the mind, and a third that is the most effective adaptive antibiotic the world has ever seen. The most effective adaptive antibiotic the world has ever seen. You say it's a problem. I would call it a gift. So he's smiling. It's not a gift if you have to pay. Xavier is only offering these miracle drugs to nations who recognize his. Well, that's called leverage. God knows none of us would ever dare such a thing. Trade deals, treaties, the money and power of it all. These are complications you are all familiar with. What should concern you is the amnesty. You think so? I seem to remember something someone said once, something about appearing to be one thing while actually being another. You're not actually going to quote Sun Tzu, are you, Ambassador? Why bother? It's not a war if they've already won. Is that your position or the position of the Chinese government? I've been ordered, if put to the question, to accept Xavier's deal. We see the potential of it. Excuse me, ambassadors. We're sorry to have kept you waiting. Please come inside. Welcome to this Krakoan habitat. I'm Esme. This is Sophie. Actually, Sophie's my human name. I'm thinking of taking another. Anyway, we, along with our sisters, are acting as a temporary staff for this habitat until we're fully up and running. Can I offer anyone something to drink? I'm fine. When will we be meeting with Xavier? Charles won't be joining us today. He is otherwise engaged. I admit I'm a poor substitute, but hopefully I'll manage. And there's Magneto, and they're probably in shock because, Magneto's a villain sometimes. So it looks like these ambassadors from different countries have been asked to meet at this habitat, which is this big tree, and I guess they're going to make a treaty, and they're offering some kind of drugs for it that would help humanity if they accept the treaty. And I guess it's all orchestrated by Charles Xavier. So I said, Magneto, please, Ambassador is fine. Please, Ambassador is fine. Follow me. I'll give you the tour. All right, that's the first section. It says the flowers of Krakoa. The mutant island of Krakoa is not just the home of mutants and the seat of their nation state. It is also the only known producer of the primary economic resource of the mutant nation, the flowers of Krakoa. So I guess that's what the humans were talking about with the drugs that they were being offered. For humans, it says human drug L. Delivery mechanism, fabricated synthesized pill. This flower produces a drug that extends the life of a human for 5 years. Wow. Human drug I. Delivery mechanism, fabricated synthesized pill. This flower produces an adaptive universal antibiotic, a super drug for humans. Human drug M. Delivery mechanism, fabricated synthesized pill. This flower produces a drug that cures diseases of the mind in humans. Okay, for mutants. Gateways. Delivery mechanism, flower. This flower grows a gateway, a pathway from where one is planted to its twin gateway on Krakoa. Habitat. Delivery mechanism, flower. This flower produces a habitat. A habitat is a self-sustaining environment, a biome that is part of the interconnected consciousness of Krakoa. No place. Delivery mechanism, flower. This non-naturally occurring flower produces a habitat that exists outside the collective consciousness of Krakoa, a place within the island ecosystem that Krakoa doesn't know exists, a Krakoan tumor. Dang, okay, that's pretty crazy. So I guess that opens up a bunch of possibilities for different things. The gateways maybe where those plants were being planted earlier in the story, back over here. Could have been planting gateways, I guess, or they could be doing habitats that they can, be connected to. So that's a cool concept. Okay. The Gray Mocking Habitat, Westchester, New York. Can anyone travel through a gateway, Mrs. Gray? So they got these classic costumes for Jean Grey. So it's kind of cool. Marvel Girl, I guess. No, not everyone. Any mutant ran, of course. Any mutant can, of course. Krakoa recognizes its own, but anyone or anything that isn't a mutant must be accompanied by one, and even then, we have to ask for permission. You see, Krakoa is very protective, and it's always important to have good manners. Okay, here we go. Just walk through, and then we'll be on the island. So they're going through a gateway right now. Incoming Sandra. Yo, Wrench. Incoming Robert. Oh, okay. Sandra. That's a name. Incoming Sandra Yo, Wrench. Incoming Robert Wynn, Sonos Rex. Incoming Sean Cassidy, Banshee. Incoming Desmond Ochoa Diaz, Fauna. Incoming Jean Grey, Marvel Girl. The interface has the count at 12, Cypher. Can you confirm? And then there's some undiscernible language. That looks creepy. It's a bunch of eyes. So I guess that's Krakoa, maybe. Checks out with Krakoa. See? I told you it would work, Sage. Last week, you built an entire system to manage the traffic of the Krakoan network from scratch. And how cool was that? Coded in a language only you and the island can speak, and bioengineered to run on light and not electricity. Yeah, I can't believe I doubted you. It's time to get with the program, Sage. You need to bury all that cynicism and replace it with good old fashioned hope. The professor has changed all the old rules. So I guess she is Sage and he is Cypher. And we've entered a whole new world. So they're stepping through the portal. Whoa. Yeah, that does about cover it. The plan is for most of the younger mutants to live in the habitat near the lagoon, but there really aren't any rules regarding that. So if you see somewhere else you'd rather be, that's perfectly fine. Oh, wow. Look, that's Professor Xavier over there with that hairy guy. Yes. Why don't you go introduce yourself? And the hairy guy's name is Logan. So she runs over, sees him. Wolverine's playing with kids and laughing. That's cool to see because he's usually not one that likes kids and stuff until later in stories. So she's smiling and they're talking through their minds. And he says, "Welcome home, Jean. You're safe here. We all are." Cool. Okay, so now we're looking at the island of Krakoa, I guess, and it's in the Pacific. So it says Krakoa, Pacific, and there it is, right there. So it's like right over here somewhere if you're coming from United States. Um, but that's sweet. And let's go ahead and go through it because maybe this will be important later to know. So House of X is number one right in here, and then House of M. So maybe that's Xavier, and then House of M would be Magneto over here, number two, kind of separate. Three is the Arbor Magna. Arbor Magna, yeah, Arbor Magna, right there in the middle. Four is the Arena, right next to it. Five is Academos Habitat, so right up here. Transit is number six, so that's right there. The Oracle, number seven, right above it. The Grove is number eight over here, right above that one. And nine is the Cradle. So we don't know what any of these are yet, but I'm assuming we're going to learn as we go through the story. 10 over here is the Reservoir, and then 11 is the Wild Hunt, and 12 is the Carousel, right there. There she is. So, ship's coming in. Built on the bones of a planet killer, the Forge is our best hope to survive the coming days. I'm extending the docking collar. She's a Hail Mary for humanity, Agent Mendel, so be gentle when you give her a kiss. Roger that, sir. And contact. The light is green, and we have a solid lock. Pressure's good. So they're docking onto a space station, maybe, or a spaceship kind of thing. Okay, Dr. Gregor, you're free to board the station, but keep in mind the first ship of the Orchis convoy is approximately 22 hours away. So, if it's not too much trouble, let's start with diagnostics and making sure this place is actually capable of supporting human life before everyone arrives. I'm perfectly aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Erasmus, but I've already had breakfast and just maybe I don't want to waste my entire morning beholden to my baser instincts. Protocol is boring, dear. Be bold, I say. She's engaging the safety override of her suit, sir. Of course she is. And this is why we don't have kids. It's about 10 degrees cooler than I'd like, but I'm guessing that's the environment controls reprogrammed to support a full crew. The air is fine. So this lady, I don't know who these people are. We kind of just get introduced to them, but this lady is kind of dangerous. She likes to risk stuff and go out there and just check things herself. So instead of waiting for her controls and everything to tell her the air is okay, she just go ahead and tries it herself. And apparently they're together, maybe because they said that's why we don't have kids. Dr. Smith, please handle the diagnostics so Erasmus will be able to sleep tonight. Dr. Kane, if you don't mind, take a quick look at the power grid. Let's make sure we're converting all the sunlight that's hitting us good and proper like. I really don't want to die of radiation poisoning. Prima, you're with me. Understood. So, what do you think? I think mistakes of this scale should take longer than 6 months to build. Truth be told, the forge would have been completed sooner, but the machines got the nitrogen and water levels wrong, and we lost everything in the habitat. Turns out doomsday plans need a bit more flexibility the closer you get to the sun. I'm not surprised, Doctor. These are the kinds of mistakes men usually make when being overly aggressive. Actually, you can't blame this on us, Karima. As soon as the predictive models forecasted the extent of what Xavier was planned, Orchis protocols were enacted. We were activated, and the automated refit of the station began. Which is odd. I don't see any machines. I see no brothers. I see no sisters. That's because when construction was completed, all the machines were retasked for mining duty. We're going to need the resources, so they're on Mercury excavating heavy metals. But don't worry. If we need more, we'll have her build them. And they're looking out right there, and they're looking out at this crazy thing, and they say, "Hello, beautiful." And I don't know what this is, but it kind of looks like a big sentinel head floating in space. And I wonder if this is like master mode or something like that. That would be a big crazy thing that the mutants would not like, and that kind of the humans probably would do. Okay, now it's going to break it down for us, I guess. Orchis protocol. Let me check the. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. Orchis protocol. Initial initial establishment of Doomsday Network based on evolutionary research regarding the extinction level population density of Homo sapiens superior. See The Cro-Magnon Problem by Dr. Alia Gregor. Recruitment of assets and strategic organizations. AIM, SHIELD, Strike, Sword, Alpha Flight, Hammer, Armor, Hydra, as well as funding from black budgets and other human centric financial considerations. So, all the bad guys basically are building this thing. AIM is a bad guy from like Iron Man and stuff. SHIELD, of course, are good sometimes, but bad sometimes when it comes to mutants. Strike is the force in space. Sword, the force in space that protects Earth. Alpha Flight is another hero team from Canada. Hammer, which is Justin Hammer stuff, is a rival for Tony Stark in Iron Man. Armor and Hydra, of course, Hydra is the bad people that always fight Captain America back in the day. Absorption and adaptation of various organizational assets into next generation infrastructure built for doomsday. Operating under the premise that there are three areas of concern: population, financial, territorial. Orchis assets established watchdog programs to observe undetected mutant influence. Orchis structure. All right, 31% aim, 24% shield, 16% strike, 8% sword, 7% alpha flight, 5% hammer, 5% armor, and 4% hydra. So now it goes 2 years ago, observation begins. 1 year ago, population alert. Instances of X gene activation have spiked along with the re-emergence of established mutant alpha types long observed as active in the mutant cause. 6 months ago, financial alert. Long observed shell companies wholly owned by the mutant activist Charles Xavier quietly purchased the seventh largest pharmaceutical company in the world and recently announced three new drugs, which are poised to destabilize that industry and spread throughout global financial sectors. So that was only 6 months ago, I guess. 2 months ago, territorial alert. The mutant nation of Krakoa is established. So all this is relatively new in the story. The humans are trying to basically scramble to figure out what's going on and then how they can stop it if they need to. So observation ends, Orchis protocol is enacted. So that was all the lead up, and then now they've activated this. And so it says, The Cro-Magnon Problem by Dr. Aaliyah Gregor began as humanitarian research into mutant repopulation following the Genoshan genocide, which resulted in the deaths of over 16 million mutants. So, in one of the older stories, there was a Genoshan genocide where I think the Sentinels basically killed a whole bunch of people, and that's canon to this now. So, this is happening later. Dr. Greger postulated that, despite best efforts, mutantdom would not be able to repopulate to significant enough numbers to become the eventual dominant species of Homo sapiens on Earth due to factors including environmental, technological, and specific scientific advancements in genetic engineering and artificial intelligence. What she found disproved her theory. Not only were mutants repopulating, reappearing at a higher rate than expected, but a regression analysis of previous growth patterns of mutants revealed that if not for Genosha, mutants would have become the dominant species on Earth within 10 years due to cascading biological and cultural mutant positive variables. What Genosha brought mankind was time. What Genosha bought mankind was time that they didn't know they didn't have. Dr. Greger's new timeline suggests that humanity has 20 years left. So humanity has 20 years left before the mutants overtake, is what they're saying population wise. Orchis command structure. Director, Dr. Killian Devo, age 63, affiliation is with Strike. Head of engineering, Zahad Ghairi, age 37, affiliation Alpha Flight. Military command is Colonel Walker Kin, age 49, affiliation is SHIELD. Science command is Dr. Aaliyah Greger, age 32, affiliation is AIM. So she's the one who did this kind of study, the Cro-Magnon problem. And machine liaison is Karima Shapander, age 28, perpetual, Omega Sentinel, affiliation unknown. So this lady, Karima Shepander, is like a Sentinel. So it's kind of crazy. Okay, let's get back to the story. That was a long little interlude right there. But yeah, we got some cool things coming up. Damage control, contested storage facility. This has gone south, Toad, and gone south quickly. How much longer? So that's Mystique. There's Sabretooth. You think it's easy searching for the combined databases of not one but two of the smartest people in the world, copying what we need and then making it look like I was never here? Well, it's not, Mystique. I have limitations, and it's going to take as long as beep. Okay, we can go. You probably shouldn't have wasted the effort making it look like we never were here. Others weren't so careful. I think what do you say? I think you broke a few of them, Sabretooth. Yeah, well, they were fragile. Then again, what ain't? So they jump out the building, jumping across. There's never a good excuse for recklessness, Creed, especially when the plan called for us to quietly get in and get out, then lie low before we delivered the data. So they're jumping out the building. Now I think we're going to need a more direct exit strategy. Washington Square? Yes, that's the close. Both of you shut up. We got he's going to say company. And then so he yells. Oh man, it's the Fantastic Four. Would you look at that, Ben? A bunch of no good thieves taking stuff that don't belong to them. Now what do we do with no good thieves? Nothing nice, Johnny. So he jumps down. Both of you, go on. I got this. So Sabretooth's going to stay and fight him. That's mighty bold talk for a guy who smells like burnt hair. Smile for me. And he punches him in the face and he goes flying. If we don't get out of here with that data, this was all for nothing. We have to make the getaway. Should we run? I think we should run. Yes, run. Okay, so there's that. Here's the next section, damage control. While this corporate entity traditionally serves in a quarantine or repair rebuild capacity, damage control also operates as an archival unit for government contested metahuman machinery and technology that belongs to missing, incapacitated, or deceased individuals where either a clear chain of custody does not exist or the items in question pose an existential threat to the United States. The current inventory in the damage control contested storage facility is made up almost exclusively of the advanced schematics and disassembled material created or owned by Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, and Tony Stark, Iron Man. So I guess this is the place they broke into, maybe. So list of security items, level 5. Soul's Anvil, Soul's Hammer. So that's the one that's highlighted. The Bridge, Iron Man Mark 5, Iron Man Mark 6, Iron Man Mark 7, Iron Man Mark 8, Rescue Mark 1, Rescue Mark 2, Anti-Proton Sling, Multiversal Beacon. In the recent past, both Stark and Richards have gone to great lengths to ensure that their technology did not fall into the hands of entities like damage control, but their normal avenue of evasion, leaving control of their intellectual property to each other, failed when Richards was missing for a prolonged period of time and Stark was presumed dead. Rights to all current material are being contested. So, I guess at a time when Richards was missing, and so Reed Richards is Mr. Fantastic, and Tony Stark was his Iron Man. I guess they thought he was dead, or he may be dead. I don't know what the current state of the comics are, but their technology fell out, and now Damage Control has it. Okay, now we're hopping back to where Magneto is with the sisters and the ambassadors. If you look around, you'll see we've now left the habitat in Jerusalem behind. This gateway leads to this hub, and through this hub we can reach any number of other habitats and gateways, each one a piece of the larger interconnected Krakoan ecosystem. So basically, they're showing them that they can go to all kinds of places just by these gateways. How do you know which door leads where? And it's a big, crazy structure. I won't lie. At first, it was easy to get turned around. Familiarity helps, but just to be safe, we asked Krakoa to grow some signs so no one would lose their way. See? Am I supposed to be able to read that? Of course not. It says nothing. It's gibberish. Well, it's certainly not Russian, English, French, or Chinese, but it is a language. Ours. It's Krakoan. And every mutant who lives among us has it telepathically imprinted in their cerebral cortex the day they arrive. Wow, that's cool and easy. They're so all the mutants are going to have their own language. They know it. When they get to Krakoa, it's put in them. It's kind of sweet. So you made your own language. Of course we did. One cannot create a distinct culture without it. And make no mistake, that is exactly what Charles Xavier is doing. Come on, let's go through here. As you can see, Krakoa is not limited by distance. So now they're on Krakoa. Or elevation, or even environment. Excuse me, I don't mean to spoil the grand tour, but at some point we have to talk about the military aspects of all this. The inherent advantages of being able to move an army any distance without being seen is, well, let's just say you'd have to throw out a couple thousand years of military strategy. People are going to have a problem with this. Where you see an instrument of war, I see an unassailable refuge. That's quite a difference. Some would call that semantics. Either way, it's an advantage. There has never been a mutant war, Ambassador. We've never conquered a people, stolen their land, or made slaves of the vanquished. That's our real advantage. Excuse me, but when are we actually going to go to Krakoa? Well, at this point, Krakoa is as much of an idea as it is an actual place. But if you mean the main island itself, we won't be going there. Why not? So I guess they were never on Krakoa. They were just going through all these different environments where the portals were taking them. You have heard Charles Xavier's offer. Mutants are the evolutionary inheritors of this world, all of it. But instead of claiming it, we are giving it to you and keeping only a small portion for ourselves. The island, you see, is ours, and ours alone. Man is not welcome there. And they are battling. Okay, back to the battle. Creed's fighting the Thing. Mystique's shooting at Johnny Storm. And looks like Toad's making a run for it. Or the Human Torch, Johnny Storm. But Creed, we're leaving. Quit, and then bad word, around, and let's go. So they are trying to jump through the portal. Mystique looks like she makes it through, but Creed is locked out. Or he stopped. And he says, huh? So it looks like the invisible woman's got him in a box. Nice of you to show up, Sue. How'd you know where to cut them off? It was actually pretty simple once you identified them. There was really only one place they could conceive. Heads up, Reed. The gate's active again. Someone's coming through. And it's Cyclops. Ah, how wonderful. The Richards family. And you, Ben, I hear you got married. Mazel tov. Oh, thanks, Slim. Of course. And everyone else is fine, doing well? You know, just a normal fireworks, Cyclops. What would life be without little surprises? So, So, shall I take Mr. Creed off your hands? But we just caught him. Why would we do something like that? You're a smart man, Dr. Richards. I know you know that what amnesty means. I do. I also know that Sabretooth broke any number of laws in the last hour, including no small number of injuries to guard and a high probability that some of those injuries are significant, possibly fatal. Are you really offering amnesty from that? It's upsetting, I know, but I'm afraid we are. New beginnings demand a wide berth. Then think I have a problem with that. So they're at a standstill right there, and they're quiet, they're staring at each other. Fair enough. I can see you feel strongly about this. So Cyclops smirks. Looks like he's going to give in. Why don't we keep him? We'll deal with it some other time, some other way. What are you kidding me, Summers? Shut up. Cyclops, this amnesty, the other things Xavier is doing. What are all of you thinking? My family has spent our entire lives being hunted and hated. The world has told me that I was less when I knew I was more. Did you honestly think that we were going to sit around forever and just take it? Of course not, but it's really very simple, Susan. I believe in what Charles Xavier is doing. Please greet your son for me and tell him when he's ready he has family on Krakoa waiting for him. So, their son is a mutant, the Fantastic Four's son, uh, Reed Richards and Susan Storm's son. I can't remember his name. I think it's Franklin. But he's also a mutant, so that's why Cyclops was saying that. Okay, we got another little interlude right here. Omega level. Omega level mutant. Mutant whose dominant power is deemed to register or reach an undefinable upper limit of that power's specific classification. For example, both Magneto and Forge are most powerful mutants of their power types on the planet Earth, magnetism and technopathy, respectively. But what makes Magneto and not Forge an Omega level mutant is that the upper limit of Forge's measurable powers could hypothetically be surpassed, and, in fact, has by multiple humans on the planet, while the upper limit of Magneto's power cannot be surpassed in any measurable fashion. Note, Omega level is a classification of a single mutant power. While it is quite common that mutants manifest multiple powers, only one is normally of Omega level. For example, while Jean Grey is both a telepath and a telekinetic, she is only an Omega level telepath. Omega level mutants known. Name, Jamie Braddock. Alias, Monarch. Omega power, reality manipulation, quantum. Alliance is none. Robert Drake, Iceman. Temperature manipulation, negative, Krakoa. Joshua Foley, Elixir, biokinesis, Krakoa. Jean Grey, Marvel Girl, telepathy, Krakoa. David Haller, Legion, power manifestation, unknown. Eric Lyncher, Magneto, magnetism, Krakoa. Kevin McTaggart, Proteus, reality manipulation, psionic, Krakoa. Absalon Mercator, I don't know. Mr. M, matter manipulation, unknown. Aurora Monroe, that's Storm, weather manipulation, Krakoa. Bennett du Paris, or Paris, Exodus, telekinesis, none. Quentin Quire, Kid Omega, telepathy, Krakoa. Franklin Richards, so that's their son. Powerhouse, reality manipulation, universal, human. So I'm not sure what reality manipulation is, but that's crazy. Gabriel Summers, Vulcan, energy manipulation, Krakoa. Hope Summers, Hope, power manipulation, Krakoa. Omega Protocol. While it is believed that a greater dynamo is possible through collective means, it is a current priority for the mutant nation of Krakoa to protect and nurture its greatest natural resource, Omega level mutants. All efforts are to be expended in order to secure the future of the state. One people, one tribe, one family. So that's pretty cool. Got it all broken down for us. So back to the Krakoan habitat in Jerusalem. So what have we learned? That in return for recognizing Krakoa as a nation of good standing, you will, no, I wasn't speaking to you. Well, our host ambassador from Israel decided to join her fellow representatives from the Security Council today. She's with them, but not with them. She's also ex military and doesn't really care for them, or you for that matter, but that's no surprise. As for the others, well, they've been trained to withstand telepathy, just not trained well enough. They're all plants, sir. What? Outrageous. Ma Mingyu is actually the head of the state science office. Both he and influential members of parliament are eager to agree to our terms. They see the political and scientific opportunity our asymmetry represents. Jean Pierre Cole actually is an ambassador, but he bought it with his private sector pharmaceutical money. He'll agree to Xavier's terms if we allow him special access to our drugs. It's how they say a win-win. Natalia Volok is a Red Sky senior operator who would have never agreed with our terms. It's even more true now that she knows the others would. Am I right or am I right? This is what we have become. It might be best if we were replaced. Walter Ripien is interesting. He's an agent of Strike, but he actually doesn't care about any of this. He's just here because he's been assigned to watch. Riley Marshall, who is an ex SHIELD and SWORD Black Ops agent. There's some other affiliation, but he's fighting me. Get out of my head. Oh, he also has a weapon of some sort. Would you like for me to do something about that, sir? Dang, he just pulled it all out and disassembled it. No need. I wasn't going to use it. It was for my protection. Of course, that's how it always starts. Should I show him out? No. Some would be offended at a presenting as a sheep, but I have learned hard lessons from your kind, so I know the truth. You're all wolves. And it's good that you are here, all of you, as you really are, so you can run home and tell your masters what you have learned. I want you to tell them. Charles Xavier has made you an offer, one full of grace and brotherly love, but one that is also written in stone. This is not a negotiation. Things will be different now, and the sooner you realize the finality of your situation and the inevitability of ours, the sooner you will learn to be grateful for the things we are so generously giving you. Do you know what that sounds like? Do you know what you sound like? I do, and it feels good to finally say it. Bang. So you summoned us here to Jerusalem to what? Threaten us? A promise is not a threat, Ambassador, and I summoned you to this place for wholly superficial reasons. You see, I know how you humans love your symbolism, almost as much as you love your religion, and I needed you to understand. You have new gods now. Dang, that's crazy. And I think well, I guess that's not the end of the issue. I don't know. We'll keep going. I have a new word for the lexicon of man, Krakoa. And in the future, when you speak it, make sure you do so softly and with proper deference, for we will be listening. That's from Magneto. Here's the thing, Charles. It's not a dream if it's real. Moira McTaggart. XO, the X-Men, year one. So there is somebody right there. They're all having a party, looks like. I think that's the X-Men mansion, maybe. So they're outside. There's Professor X. He's walking. What? Well, I guess he was walking before, but yeah. XO, the X-Men, year one, the dream. X1, the X-Men, year 10. Oh, okay. XO, it's X to the zero power. The X-Men, year one, the dream. X to the first power. The X-Men, year 10, the world. X to the second power. The X-Men, year 100, the war. X to the third power. X-Men, year 1000, ascension. So that's kind of crazy. So he's sitting there in year one, the dream. He's looking at the sky, sees something. Good afternoon. A lady walks up. And the same to you. Are you enjoying the fair? It seems like the kind of thing I should enjoy, and yet I look around at all these people and know it's just a show for those who need one, a distraction from what's really going on, if you will. Mind if I sit? Please. So, are you enjoying the fair? I am. It seems like the kind of thing I should not enjoy, and yet a little parting of the clouds, a little shining of the sun, and suddenly everything seems right in the world. Having a good day, are we? Is it that obvious? You'd have to be blind not to notice. In my case, I was just walking through the fair, past the caged beasts and the games of chance, past the fortune teller selling his wares, and then now it goes to these cards. See the magician, the metal metamorph, the great sword, and the girl with one foot in two worlds. The magician. So it looks like magic. See the tower, the axis, the pillar of collapse and rebirth, the monolith of ascension, the tower. See the devil, the red god, and the lost cardinal of the last religion. That looks like Nightcrawler, the devil. Then, at the far end of the fair, I saw you sitting there, and I thought to myself, there he is, what I've been looking for. The strong man. I'm not really that strong. And I wondered, why sitting there under parted skies and brilliant sun was this strong man smiling so? I was, wasn't I? Yes. Do you want to know why? I do, very much so. I was smiling because I've recently had the most wonderful dream of a better world and my place in it. Well, here's the thing, Charles. It's not a dream if it's real. So I guess that's Myra McTaggart, and this is kind of how they met, maybe. Or maybe they already knew each other because she knows his name. I don't know. No, no. I'm sorry. Do we know one another? Oh, yes. We go back quite a ways. Who are you? Why don't you read my mind, Charles? Read my mind and see. Ah. Oh, and that's how it ends. So that's cool. That's a weird way to end it. And it's going to leave us wanting to know what happens next. But all right, cool. Well, the next issue that we're going to read will be Powers of X #1, which is chapter 2 in this book. And it's called The Last Dream of Professor X. And this one actually jumps to the future. So it's going to be a big change, big difference. But I'm glad to finally start this. And thanks for joining me. I will continue going through this, and we'll see how many videos it actually takes us. But yeah, this will be good. And I'm probably going to jump back and forth between Rebel Moon because I started that. I think it's a 4-issue miniseries, so we'll get through that too. But all right, I'll see y'all next time.